OnChain. Hey, OnChain revolution, Bitcoin not an illusion. Market recap, then I do a roll call. You're not bullish in the vocal. Look at the price action, yeah, send it to the deck, sell it through the spec. Order knows the best. Too much Bitcoin, gotta go to read. If you end up bearish, gotta put the knee pad. Let me see the comments. Look at the fear and greed index. Rich, look at the chart.
Welcome back to On-Chain Revolution. My name is Shizzy. On this channel, we cover the entire Bitcoin crypto ecosystem. What is up, guys? We have an amazing interview for you guys today. Today, we're going back in time. We're doing a little bit of history, and then we're going to cover some Opcat Labs. Opcat, if you don't know, is an opcode that Satoshi actually put in the code in the very early days, but then decided to take it out. We're going to be digging into what Opcat Labs is kind of building, but so we got Mate joining us today, and he's basically the co-founder of Bitcoin.com. You know, there's a lot of ties back to Bitcoin Cash and everything with that. So this is going to be a really exciting interview. I'm really looking forward to this one. I think you guys should be too. So without further ado, let's get the show started. Let me bring in my partner here, as always, Mr. Yagobi. What's up, buddy?
What's up? What's up,
man? So, you know, we started our journey in Bitcoin, right? We started our journey with ordinals and runes and that whole ecosystem. But there's one thing missing. That's programmability. That's fun stuff on Bitcoin. And that's kind of what the opcodes actually do, right?
Yeah, I mean, you know, Opcat more specifically allows for that programmability that Bitcoin lacks, right? From what we've learned. And it's been a journey for sure. And I think a lot of people, you know, if you got into crypto pre-2021 cycle, that you probably found crypto through Bitcoin at some point, right? And but you don't really know how it works from a fundamental level. And whenever you and I started covering ordinals in 2023, man, we got a year-long lesson and really were able to, you know, learn as much as we could. And then, you know, venturing into 2024, where a lot of builders were just really like needing Opcat in a sense, right? So there was campaigns around that and stuff. And so we met some amazing people that have worked on Bitcoin for a long time, and, you know, talked about the importance of some having programmability, but you know, how it's not happening on Bitcoin layer 1, right? And so I'm excited to get into this interview and really learn about Mate and kind of his experience and kind of what they're doing today to, you know, bring that type of environment to the masses.
Yeah, man. So get us started. Let's bring up Mate. Mate, welcome to On-Chain Revolution.
Hey guys, thanks so much for having me. I really like the intro music, and I think it ended with the Fear and Greed Index, which is you know, which is like a roller coaster these days. So very good job on that one.
Absolutely. We appreciate you, you know, with the kind words about the intro there. You know, Shizzy was telling me about you more because I'm less of a Bitcoin historian than he is. He definitely appreciates that probably a little bit more than I do. I love the history of Bitcoin, but he's really into it. Has 10 books probably just laying around his office. But you know, for our audience, if you wouldn't mind just giving a background of who you are, what you've, you know, gone through with your history in Bitcoin, crypto, leading up to where we are today.
Yeah, sure. So how much time do we have? I mean, it's been a while. It's been a minute. But really, the whole thing started when the Cyprus crisis happened, and people were like super afraid that the government would take their money. And so, you know, it got leaked out, and a lot of people started to put their money, were starting to do some sort of like soft bank runs, if you can say that, and really started to buy Bitcoins. And so for me, it all started in Cyprus. Although I'm not from Cyprus, I'm from Hungary, but it was like a big giant news, probably a lot of in a lot of countries across Europe. So I was reading about this, and I was like, okay, what kind of magic internet money that people are, you know, aping into? Back in the day, you wouldn't use that phrase aping into, right? But what kind of magic internet money that people are actually buying instead of like the traditional fiat money? And so that's how I learned about Bitcoin. And so I couldn't really grasp it for the first time, and I sent it over to my dad. He was an accountant and like tax advisor at the time, and he dug into it a little bit more, and he said like it is something that we have to really just get ourselves into. And we started to read more and more about Bitcoin, and back in the day, and we're talking about 2013, right? Mining was like the biggest retail stuff in Bitcoin, right? So everyone was trying to do home mining. And there was like a big problem with that. So the supply and demand side was like totally off. And so I'm sure Shizzy, you're gonna love this, because this is like ancient Bitcoin history, sort of what I'm talking about here. So the supply and demand side was like totally off, and you probably remember Butterfly Labs and like all these other Bitcoin mining manufacturers. So basically, you put in the order, and then if you were lucky, they delivered it like 6 months later. And by the time it was delivered, like it was basically worth nothing, because the Bitcoin mining difficulty has gone up so much. So you basically just they delivered like a brick, like a big giant computer that's like worthless, and it wouldn't even do ROI. And so we started to do some home mining, and then I immediately realized that people are in need of like good mining machines. So we started to do like mining reviews, and that's how my first company, Bitcoinist, came about. Bitcoinist.com was actually a Bitcoin mining review site, and then eventually we pivoted into news. And then fast forward to like 2016ish, I met with Roger Ver, and we started Bitcoin.com together, and I was basically running Bitcoin.com as COO and CEO for like about 5 years, up until like 2021ish. And then a lot of other things happened in my life recently, like not recently, but like 3 years ago, started another company called Altcoinist, which is a Telegram trading bot. We're very excited about that. Have an entire team working on it. And I wasn't really even back into like the Bitcoin world until a very, very good friend of mine, Mo Levin, introduced me to Bruce, who is the founder and CEO of Opcat Labs. And so we got introduced, and Bruce started to talk about what Opcat is about, and I got like super, super excited about it. Is because back in the day, like I'm talking about early Bitcoin days, when like you wouldn't even have to worry about like block sizes, because blocks were not full. And of course, like later on, the block size debate, I was in the middle of it, but like it was the Satoshi dice era, like I like to call it, right? I was able to play Satoshi dice, like even there were some faucets hanging around. And so Bruce told me about Opcat, and I got super, super excited. So I joined Bruce with Opcat Labs, and basically, I mean, honestly, what made me super excited about Opcat is that Opcat Labs is pretty much building the first native Bitcoin execution layer. And so he has been working on this for like about 7 years. So from one perspective, he has like an enormous head start compared to all the other companies that are currently doing L2s. That basically they all have their flaws, because they are not built on chain. But we have to be honest with ourselves, right? Opcat is 10 lines of code that Satoshi put in, just like you said, and then he later took it out. Opcat, in order for Opcat Labs to be 100% come to fruition, it has to be enabled. So because of the craziness that's happening in Bitcoin land in regards to the fight between Bitcoin Core and Luke Dash Jr. and all that craziness, unfortunately, Opcat implementation is probably going to take a little bit longer. So, having said that, what we have decided is basically to launch the Cat20 chain without Opcat, and actually do a lot of cool things on our side chain, on our L2 side chain. And so that's pretty much what we're doing with Bruce, but really tokens, Cat20 tokens, automated market makers, dexes, a pump fund project as well, and probably an Opcat token very, very soon as well. So a couple exciting things happening, and I'm really happy to be back in Bitcoin, and work on the future of Bitcoin.
Yeah, love it. Thank you so much for that. I'm gonna
Sure.
dig into every piece of that, but so let's kind of start from the beginning. Obviously, you mentioned a few things there. You mentioned Satoshi Dice, which is Eric Voorhees. You mentioned the faucets, which is Gavin Andreessen. You mentioned Bitcoin Jesus, which is Roger Ver, right? So a lot. I mean, you're as far back as possible, you're a legend, right? So that, I mean, anyone from that era is I consider like legendary Bitcoin guys. But like, take me through the process of like with Roger Ver. Did you know him? Were you guys like friends before Bitcoin, or did you meet in Bitcoin? I'd love to know more about that situation.
Yeah, so I was still running my company Bitcoinist, and like I mentioned, it was supposed to be a news site. Well, it was a news site actually. It still is a news site, we there Roger was in the news a lot, and I needed some quote from him. So I reached out, and we sort of connected. And then there was another news coming out about Roger, which was about Bitcoin.com. So at that time, he was actually not doing anything with Bitcoin.com, but Bitcoin.com was the domain was redirected to some Chinese exchange, and so they actually stopped to pay for the licensing fee for the domain. And so Roger decided, to take it back and do something with it, and it was all over the news. And so I got excited about the domain. So I reached out to Roger and said, "Hey, why don't we do something with Bitcoin.com?" I was at that time, like, I thought I was pretty good at like building out new sites and things like that. And the conversation led from one word to another, and basically we met up in person. And I gave him a proposal about starting news.bitcoin.com. And then the whole evolution just really sort of evolved. Like from news, we started a lot of other products and services within bitcoin.com. We started like a platform where wallets and the exchanges would be able to bid. These were like the super early days, and so the highest bidder of the exchange or of the wallet would get the traffic. So it was like an amazing user acquisition for them, and it was good revenue stream for us. And then later on, we started the Bitcoin.com wallet, and then Bitcoin games, and then Bitcoin, cloud mining, Bitcoin real mining, Bitcoin pool, like all sort of things happened within the company's products and services suite. And like it's just been a long time, and we're friends ever since. I really respect him. I look up to him, and even though there has been the Bitcoin drama with Bitcoin Cash and Bitcoin Core, I think it probably wasn't handled the best way, to be honest with you, especially not from Bitcoin.com's perspective. So I regret a lot of things that we have done back in the day, but it's undeniable how much he has done for Bitcoin in the early days. So.
Yeah, 100%. Roger is somebody definitely. I mean, Bitcoin Jesus. The stories are everywhere, right? He's giving kids one full Bitcoin, right? Just walking out of a store and just saying, "Hey guys, you guys download this wallet, I'll send you one Bitcoin." Absolutely amazing. So obviously, Roger Ver was a big part of the block size wars, and I'm sure you were on that side, the big blocker side as well. Could you break that down of your view and maybe your views today?
Yeah, I guess my views are a little bit different than what it was like when we were in the middle of the block size war and the block size debate. So of course, to me, it was also frustrating, right? Because anyone who has been interacting with Bitcoin in like 2013, 14, 15ish, they know that things were like super, super fast in regards to the transactions. The blocks were not full. They were about to get full because Bitcoin was getting into, at that time, what we thought would be like more mainstream. We now know what mainstream is really about, right? Even though like most of the transactions are happening between the exchanges or on the ETF level. But back in the day, we were really just on the opinion that in order for Bitcoin to be absolutely unstoppable, for governments not to be able to intervene, for it not to be able to be shut down, it needed to be more mainstream, and more people should have started to use it. And so when you talk about the characteristics of money, Bitcoin was meant to be money. It was meant to be a peer-to-peer electronic cash system, just like it is in the Bitcoin white paper. And so that was the part that was like, I'm not trying to beat the drum again, but like I still think like Bitcoin would be a great medium of exchange and get a good money, right? But instead of it being a good money, it is now digital gold, which is also fine, right? And so I think what we did wrong was definitely in regards to the Bitcoin Cash is Bitcoin type of narrative, especially with Bitcoin.com. And this whole block size war. Basically, we said that Bitcoin Cash is Bitcoin, which is not true, and which was not true at the time. And that's something that, looking back right now, I regret, really. There can only be one Bitcoin, and there could be, I mean, there was like so many other Bitcoins, like Bitcoin Gold, BSV, like, I mean, you name it, right? Probably 10, 15 iterations of Bitcoin. So there can be a bunch of other Bitcoins, but Bitcoin is Bitcoin. And so from that marketing and PR perspective, that's something I regret. Yeah, I guess that's how I remember it all now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I mean, I think that's admirable for you to kind of come back and be like, hey, look, we look back and that's something that we could have done differently. And for the audience, I'm sure that they're going to really appreciate, breaking down that history and stuff. But I wonder what you learned whenever you kind of stepped away. Because I mean, the whole block size wars it felt kind of like drama a little bit, but we're going through that again in Bitcoin Core right now. But you got to step away a bit and go into different areas. What'd you learn from that? And what are you bringing from that back to kind of the Bitcoin ecosystem?
I mean, first of all, now that I'm sort of like back in Bitcoin and trying to follow what is happening, like, I'm just really sad, to be honest with you, right? Like, I thought that like this whole thing was already left behind, and now I'm coming back and I see like Taproot Wizards fighting, and I see Bitcoin Core fighting, and I see Luke Dash Jr. fighting, Greg Maxwell, like all the same people, right? They're just all fighting, and there was like one thing that I thought would be different coming back from all these years, and that's definitely like a little bit more grown-up mentality. And also I was actually hoping to see that some of those sort of like big guns, like the likes of Michael Saylor, right? Like the likes of the Winklevoss, the likes of the BlackRock people, and all the other sort of Bitcoin billionaires. I would like to see them step up, right? So now they have skin in the game, and they're just all super busy making a bunch of money for their companies, but no one really cares about what is happening with Bitcoin governance, right? So on one hand, I just recently watched a podcast with Samson Mao, and he was talking about the NOT versus core, and he said that it would be probably good for Bitcoin not to have like new protocol releases, implementations, every year. Maybe it should be every 2 years. Maybe it should be every 3 years even, right? And we don't know. We don't. Of course, if there's like some emergency patch or something that needs to happen, like it has to happen. But then, aren't we? Because if we were to do that, then Bitcoin would be more robust, and we wouldn't have all this drama. But on the other hand, don't you think that we live in such a fast-paced world that Bitcoin, the most secure, the most reliable, and the most trusted public ledger in the entire world, should deserve something better than Bitcoin Core versus Luke Dash Jr. and all these? And I'm not saying, like, these are super, super smart people. They're amazing developers. But on the other hand, they're like fighting just like kids, right? And so just because they are not able to come to the same consensus, it doesn't mean that Bitcoin should only get these updates, these new implementations every 2 years. And so I really, really hope that these big guns will understand that this is actually something that needs to be addressed, that needs to happen. And whether it happens on one of their big giant super yachts and whatever, I don't really care. But something has to happen. And it's honestly, like, it's quite frustrating to me when Michael Saylor says that MicroStrategy is a Bitcoin development company, right? I mean, what are they developing, right? Because they're definitely not developing the code, right? Then we don't know what they do. I mean, we all know, but how can you call yourself a Bitcoin development, Bitcoin software company, if you're not contributing to that? And so those are the things that still frustrate me. And like, I'm not trying to say that I have the right answers, but it's not my job to bring the right answers. But all I can say is I would love to see these people come to the same agenda at one point.
Yeah, 100%. And Larry Fink and Michael Saylor, they don't really understand the difference between Bitcoin, the coin, the reward token, and Bitcoin, the blockchain, right? They only love Bitcoin, the reward token, right? They don't give it. They want the chain to stay exactly the same, but it can be more than that, right? It can be, especially with something like Opcat, and especially with something what you're building. But for the audience who doesn't know, could you kind of explain what Opcat is and how you guys plan on using it?
Yeah, absolutely. So first of all, like, why Bitcoin needs this, right? And why Bitcoin would need this now. So Bitcoin is a $2 trillion asset with almost no native programmability. So most of the Bitcoin sits idle, leaves the ecosystem via centralized exchanges and wrapped assets. And so Bitcoin has no dominant L2s. Of course, some of the L2s that are coming up now, but those are like not on chain. Those are like L2s. But Bitcoin would be able to do like real smart contracts, native Bitcoin as gas, and trustless bridging. So unlocking Bitcoin's dormant liquidity would be absolutely amazing for Bitcoin and this DeFi ecosystem. And so quite frankly, it is something that would make Ethereum look like a little brother, right? So think about all the things that you can do on Ethereum. You would be able to do that on Bitcoin. And I think that's a huge value proposition. And it is not being used and leveraged as of today.
Yeah, for sure. So you guys want to develop, you guys talked about developing a Bitcoin L2, right? But then you said something about these L2s are not they're not compatible with Bitcoin, right? There's no on-chain compatibility whatsoever, but Opcat kind of changes that. Could you kind of
Yeah,
dig
exactly.
into that?
Hello?
Yeah. Did you lose you? Did you get my question?
Yeah, I lost you for a little second there.
Yeah, no worries. I was just saying, like, could you kind of dig into how, you know, a Bitcoin L2 using Opcat can connect properly to Bitcoin L1 and actually take those transactions on the L2 and actually close them up and put them on Bitcoin itself.
Yeah. So first of all, you definitely need Opcat, in order to do that. So there are some other L2s that are already working, like a good um, um, a good competitor would be Hemi. They are leveraging Ethereum for Bitcoin smart contracts. Um, so Opcat's security model would be the merge mind proof of work stake, right? So it needs the miner adoption, that's for sure. But the advantage is that it inherits Bitcoin's actual security. So there isn't any new. So it's basically a trustless model, and that would be the biggest difference between all the other L2s that are out there.
Yeah, the current ones are using multi-sig kind of approaches or MPC approaches. With Opcat, you would be able to eliminate that, right? So it's less trust assumptions and more of a trustless flow of coming on and off, right? So that's
Yeah, I would say like those are like the Ethereum style L2s hosted like next to Bitcoin. And like I'm not trying to be a hypocrite because like we're not able to do Opcat as we intended to do for now.
Mhm.
But when Opcat is enabled, we're going to be able to do that.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so let's get into Opcat Labs here. So maybe you could talk about what's next for you guys. What's the plan? So obviously Opcat can't get added to core in the near future, but the idea is that, you know, is possible maybe in the next couple of years. But in the meantime, you guys are going to be building the scaling solution. Could you talk about what the plans are?
Yeah, absolutely. So right now we have decided. So first of all, when I was brought on board with Bruce, it was before the core and not drama. Okay, and Opcat was really on the table. We had support from Adam Back, we had support from Greg Maxwell, we had support from Taproot Wizards, we had support from really prominent people within Bitcoin land. And so it was like really, I would say like maybe a little bit optimistic, but I thought that it was going to happen, in 2026 Q1 ish, worst case scenario Q2. And you never know what happens. Crypto is a crazy place, right? It can still happen. But I was really brought on to really do lobbying and really try to use my sort of experience with that I have gained from the drama back in the days with big blocks, and really just sit down everyone at the same table, do conferences, do like meetups, and get everyone on the same page. We believe that it is not the right time to talk about it. We want the war to be over. We want the dust to settle, and we have decided that instead of putting our energy and efforts into lobbying now, we are just going to launch Opcat as an L2, launch the chain, and basically do Cat 20 tokens, do the market maker, do the launchpad for Bitcoin, and probably do some very cool game on Bitcoin L2 as well. So that's pretty much where we are at right now, and our goal is to launch everything by the end of this year. Worst case scenario, first 1 or 2 weeks in January.
Yeah, that's exciting. That's actually really soon. 100%. So let's talk about the technology behind this new chain, right? The Opcat chain. Obviously, you saw stuff like Fractal, who basically just kind of forked. Well, they started Bitcoin over, right? They made the changes they want to change and launched it. And then you have stuff like like Merlin chain, who used EVM. They use Polygon, and then they're using multi-sigs and stuff like that. What technology are you guys kind of planning to use here?
Yeah, so I was hoping that you wouldn't get into the technicalities because I'm
Okay.
not technical at all. And so I don't want to wobble around with the worlds and things like that. That would definitely be Bruce Stable, who is eventually the CEO and lead developer for the company. I definitely have a lot of catch up in regards to the technicalities and all that. So
You did
I rather
mention that
not go into the details.
you did mention
Gotcha.
Cat 20 standard though, and for me, like I can assume that Cat 20 standard is going to be a UTXO tech stack, so they're probably going to try to emulate, the UTXO because, in my opinion,
Yeah.
that's going to be one of the few that can be fast and scalable like that, right? So
Yeah.
definitely appreciate your breakdown though, and stuff of Opcat Labs, and it's exciting. And we've had the opportunity to meet Bruce, and really intelligent guy. So I think you guys are a perfect combo. You got kind of like the connection side from your side, and then genius side from his side from the tech stack
Yeah,
part.
and quite frankly, like that's why I got so excited about working with him as well, because he is truly a genius, right? Like he is amazing. He's a fantastic developer. He knows his stuff inside out. He's very good, and quite frankly, like I'm just like I love business development. I love marketing stuff. I love strategy, and I know how to build a company. So I think like we complement each other a lot. And I went to Hong Kong to the Bitcoin conference with him, and we hang out with a lot of people, and we believe like it's a very like everyone we talk to. They really like the dynamics between us because there are like very, very different things that we bring to the table when it comes to Opcat Labs.
Yeah, it's definitely exciting. I can't wait to dig in further. I mean, it's only a couple weeks away, so really looking forward to kind of
Yeah.
maybe having Bruce on as well right before launch and kind of digging into the tech stacks. But I really appreciate you and everything you've given us, your background, your everything. Is there anything that you would like to talk about before we let you go?
Nothing in particular. I just really want to, thank you guys, and I really appreciate everyone who is putting out content. Media is not easy, to do, especially now that this industry has grown so much. So I just really like appreciate what you guys are doing. Keep up the great work, and yeah, love the podcast.
Awesome. Well, appreciate you, Mate, and we look forward to speaking to you in the near future, and we'll talk to you soon.
Absolutely. Hope we can catch up at some like real physical events as well.
Definitely. Definitely. All right, Mate.
Thanks,
Thank you
man.
guys so much. Take care.
You too.
Yeah, so absolutely amazing, man. It's really awesome to talk to people who've been around, and I meant what I said when I called them like legendary. Like people don't understand the people who were around in 2012, 2013 and experienced everything like that. I wish I could go back in time, man, because it just seems like such an amazing time to be alive when it comes to Bitcoin and kind of really understanding everything that comes with that. But absolutely amazing episode. Can't wait to kind of watch it back and really kind of dig even further with Bruce on the next one.
Absolutely. I learned a lot today for sure. And it's really cool to talk to someone that was, in those times, really in the thick of it too. Co-founder of Bitcoin.com as well. That's a legendary website too.
Yeah.
It's been running around forever. And so we hope that you guys enjoyed this episode and interview and, learn something like we did. And we appreciate all your support for your viewership and all that stuff. If you could check out our partners, we greatly appreciate that, as they allow us to kind of continue to do this. Emblem Vault is the interoperability layer of the Bitcoin ecosystem. If you're looking to jump or bridge your Bitcoin ordinals or NFTs like counterparty NFTs, or Bitcoin ordinals like the Taproot Wizards over to Ethereum, you got to use Emblem Vault. Why? Because they were the pioneers in this. They've been doing it the longest. I think they're pretty much one of the only service providers to do this, right? But right now you can actually take your Taproot Wizard over to Ethereum and take a loan out against it on the Gandhi application, which is the largest borrowing and lending NFT application on the Ethereum blockchain. And the Emblem team is going to open this up to other scaling layers. Solana is on that list. And speaking of Solana, they have the best AI product in all of Solana in agenthustle.ai. You can ask Hustle, hey, find me some low cap gems in the Solana ecosystem. He'll bring back a couple options for you and give you reasons why he thinks these are solid. You can also do conditional trading with Hustle. There's engine built directly in Hustle, and he can do buy and sell limit orders on your behalf for any SPL tokens, meme tokens, whatever. But it's not just SPL or Solana. They are integrated in Hedera Hashgraph now. And so you can actually use Hustle to get research for tokens, meme tokens, or utility tokens over on Hedera. And you can do conditional trades as well. And it doesn't stop there, though. They integrated BSC and other EVM capabilities as well, or tech stacks, I should say. The Ethereum chain's coming very, very soon as well. So make sure you go to agenthustle.ai. Click on that subscription. You could do the free one just to test it out for a couple of prompts, but you really want to upgrade to the paid subscriptions, because that's where you get all the tool sets there. And you can use the Hustle token to pay. You get a 30% discount. And the Hustle token is a single token that powers the entire Emblem ecosystem. But there's one more product in the ecosystem called migrate.fund that allows you to migrate from one launchpad to another within Solana's ecosystem. These launchpads, they start off with the pre-bond, and so those tokens get locked in liquidity. But migrate.fund can help you get that out, as long as your community is on board, of course, and migrate to another launchpad or to your own LP that you can manage and earn as much as possible with your LPs. And then if you're interested in this, go to migrate.fund, ask any questions, reach out to the team, or go to emblem.vision, where you can find out all the information I just broke down for you about those products. And then Merlin Chain is uniting Bitcoin strength through the power of AI. They have their version 2 of their wizard that is out, and it can actually do cross-chain swaps for you. All you got to do is have some Bitcoin in your Merlin Chain wallet. You can swap for Solana tokens or BSC tokens. And then also it can guide you through Merlin Chain's ecosystem. It can do DeFi swaps within the ecosystem using Merlin Swap, or it can stake for you on your behalf as well. And speaking of staking, they have a proof of stake security model, and you can participate in 3 ways. The first way is staking Bitcoin to earn more Bitcoin. Everybody wants a product that can earn Bitcoin for them, right? The first staking vault into September 30th. They are 3-month-long staking vaults. They were able to earn 17% APR for their stakers, which is an amazing return for staking Bitcoin. And you get paid in Bitcoin, by the way. The second staking vault is live right now. It goes until January 8th. You can participate still. You get a little bit more than a month, but I'm sure there's going to be more opportunities for future staking vaults as well. They're going to shoot for the same APR. It's going to be minimum 8%, maximum 21%. And then the other 2 ways to get involved with the staking is the Merlin Chain token, the Merl token. The first one is the day-to-day flexible option. You earn 15% APR. You can actually claim your rewards daily. And then if you do want to withdraw, there's a 7-day cooldown period. So just know that. And the last option is the bonded option, which is a 6-month lockup of the Merlin Chain token. You earn 45% APR, but just know that it's locked up for 6 months. And you can claim your rewards on that one daily too, which is really cool. Head over to merlinchain.io, check them out, follow them on X as well. We thank you guys so much for checking out our partners.
Yep. Great job, man. As always. And if you guys have a few more minutes and wouldn't mind checking out onchainrevolution.io, it's one of the best articles dating all the way back to 2023. If you know someone just entering the space, please send them our website. We really feel like it can help them get started and caught up to where we are today. New article right here about Monad, Mainnet. Really get in-depth feel of what Monad has, all in about 3 to 4 minute read. Definitely check this out. And everything else here. We have Bitcoin pullbacks. We have America.fund, Monad again. Check them all out here, guys. And if you guys need a VPN, highly recommend Nord. I use it every single day. Why use a VPN? Well, it allows you to use sites like Hyperliquid and MEXC. It also, it's about privacy, right? Right now, if you launch a coin on Pump Fund, potentially they can find out exactly where you launch that coin from, and not just your IP, but your IP actually leads them to your address. Don't do it. Use a VPN when you're doing anything, especially when it comes to crypto. And with NordVPN, you guys can lock it in for about $3 a month. Lock it in for 2 years. You can exit 3 months for free. Check everything out here on our website. And on top of that, Ledger. If you guys need any type of hardware, make sure it's a Ledger. This is the only one that I ever want to use again, because I've experienced really bad hardware wallets, from cards to crap. But Ledger has an amazing deal going on right now. Check everything out here at onchainrevolution.io. And remember, guys, we are live Monday through Friday, 11 a.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Central, 8 a.m. Pacific, and 3 p.m. UTC. Check us out all week, guys. Until tomorrow.
Peace.
OnChain, 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 OnChain. OnChain revolution roll call. Market recap. You not bullish enough, no. You're not bullish enough, no. Look at the price go. Bitcoin control. Why you still coping? Price action rolling. Don't fall for bear traps. Swapping indexes and putting it up in the sex. I can take profit right now. OnChain is where I be now. You can never look back. They don't want you to know. How did the market react? Fear and greed gotta adapt. Now we bridging the tokens and marching the network right now. You know how crazy we are. Nookies are savages now. They know how crazy we are. Chain abstraction, main attraction. OnChain revolution.